So hello everyone, welcome to our channel and today हम पढ़ेंगे चैप्टर 3 प्लांट किंगडम एनसीईआरटी बायोलॉजी क्लास 11। वीडियो शुरू करने से पहले आप सभी से मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है, इफ़ यू हैव एनी डाउट्स, इफ़ यू हैव एनी क्वेरी, डू कमेंट बिलो। ऑल्सो प्लीज़ लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब माई चैनल बिकॉज इससे क्या होता है, उससे मोटिवेशन मिलता है कि मैं अपना काम करती रहूँ। ठीक है, और आपको आपका फीडबैक मेरे लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है, मेरे लिए यूट्यूब कम्युनिटी के लिए। सो लेट्स बिगिन विद आवर चैप्टर। इन द प्रीवियस चैप्टर वी looked at the broad classification of living organism under the system proposed by Whittaker, wherein he suggested 5 kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Animalia, Plantae. So इस चैप्टर में हम पढ़ेंगे प्लांट किंगडम के बारे में इन डिटेल, जैसा कि हमने पिछली वीडियो में बताया था। हम प्लांट किंगडम के बारे में किस किस के बारे में पढ़ेंगे? एल्गी, ब्रायोफाइट्स, टेरिडोफाइट्स, जिम्नोस्पर्म्स, एंजियोस्पर्म्स, प्लांट लाइफ साइकिल एंड अल्टरनेशन ऑफ जनरेशंस। We must stress here that our understanding of the plant kingdom has changed over time. Fungi and the members of Monera protista having cell walls have now been excluded from Plantae through earlier classification placed in same kingdom. Okay, so the cyanobacteria, Monera protista के जिनके cell walls थे उनको इसी में रखा जाता था, जो fungi भी थे, और कुछ members Monera protista के. So the cyanobacteria that are also referred to brooding algae are not algae anymore. In this chapter, we will describe algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms under Plantae. Let us look at classification within angiosperms to understand some of the concerns that influence the classification system. The earlier system of classification used only gross superficial morphological characteristics such as habitat, color, number and shape of leaf, etc. They were based mainly on vegetative characters or on the androecium structure system given by Linnaeus. But such systems were artificial. They separated the closely related species since they were based on a few characters. So artificial matlab few characters were based there. Also, the artificial system gave equal weightage to vegetative and sexual characteristics. This is not acceptable since we do know that often the vegetative characters are more easily affected by environment. As against this, natural classification system developed which were based on natural affinities among the organisms and consider not only external features but also internal features like ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology, phytochemistry. Such a classification for flowering plants were given by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. तो जॉर्ज बैंथम और जोसेफ डॉल्टन हुकर ने क्या किया था? उन्होंने फाइटोकेमिस्ट्री और एनाटॉमी और क्लासिफिकेशन प्लांट्स के लिए एक सिस्टम दिया था. At present, phylogenetic classification system based on evolutionary relationship between the various organisms are acceptable. This assumes that organisms belonging to the same taxa have a common ancestor. We now use information from many other sources too to help resolve difficulties in classification. These become more important when there is no supporting fossil evidence. Numerical taxonomy, which is now easily carried out using computers based on all observable characteristics, number and codes are assigned to all the characters in the data and then processed. In this way, each character is given equal importance and at the same time, hundreds of characters can be considered. Cytotaxonomy, that is based on cytological information like chromosome number, structure, behavior, and chemotaxonomy, that uses the chemical concept in the plant to resolve confusion, are also used by taxonomists these days. Let's start with algae. Algae are chlorophyll bearing, simple, thalloid, autotrophic, and largely aquatic, both freshwater and marine organisms. They occur in a variety of other habitats, moist stone, soils, and wood. Some of them also occur in association with fungi and lichen animals. Example is sloth bear. The form and size of algae is highly variable, ranging from collinear forms like volvox and the filamentous form like Ulthrix and Spirogara. A few of the marine forms, such as gulps, form massive plant bodies. The algae reproduce by vegetative, asexual, and sexual methods. Vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation. Each fragment develops into a thallus. Asexual reproduction is by the production of different types of spores. The most common being the zoospores. They are flagellated, motile, and on germination give rise to new plants. Sexual reproduction takes place through fusion of two gametes. These gametes can be flagellated and similar in size as in Lothrix, or non-flagellated, non-motile, but similar in size as in Spirodara. Such reproduction is called isogamous. Isogamous कौन सा होता है जिसमें एक फैजिलेटेड और होता है और एक नॉन मोटाइल यानी नॉन फैजिलेटेड होता है पार्टनर गैमेट. Fusion of two gametes dissimilar in size, as in species of Eudorina, is termed as anisogamous. Fusion between one large, non-motile static female gamete and a smaller, motile main gamete is termed as oogamous. So यहाँ पे तीन terms हैं, isogamous, anisogamous, oogamous. इनके बीच में difference बहुत ज़रूरी है. Isogamous क्या होता है? This gamete can be so isogamous होता है एक फ्लैजिलेटेड एक नॉन फ्लैजिलेटेड. एन आइसोगैमस होता है दो गैमेट जो बिल्कुल ही सिमिलर नहीं है, साइज में डिसिमिलर है, जैसे एंडोरिना में. और ऊगैमस होता है वॉल्वस फिकस में, जिसमें एक बड़ा सा लार्ज और नॉन मोटाइल होता है फीमेल गैमेट और एक छोटा सा स्मॉलेस्ट मेल गैमेट होता है. Okay, so are some diagrams of green algae, brown algae. ये डायग्राम आप देख सकते हैं. ए फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड ग्रीन एल्गे वॉल्वॉक्स यूलोथ्रिक्स. सेकंड ब्राउन एल्गे लेमिनेरिया फ्यूकस. दिस वन बी लेमिनेरिया एंड फ्यूकस. ए ब्लैडर है, फ्रॉन्ड है, मिडरिप है, होल्फास्ट है. बी थर्ड इज डिक्योटा, फ्रॉन्ड टाइप है, होल्फास्ट. लास्ट इज रेड एल्गी. As you can see, it's red in color. Porphyra and Polysiphonia main axis of branches hai. This is all fungi. They look like plants though. Algae is useful to man in a variety of ways. At least a half of the total CO2 fixation on Earth is carried out by algae through photosynthesis. Being photosynthetic, they increase the level of dissolved oxygen in the immediate environment. They are of paramount importance as prime producers of energy-rich compounds which form the basis of the food cycle of all aquatic animals. Many species of Porphyra, Laminaria, and Sargassum are among the 70 species of marine algae used as food. तो food के लिए कौन कौन से यूज़ होते हैं? Laminaria, Sargassum हो गया, Porphyra हो गया. इन्हें खाना खाया जाता है. Okay? Yes. Certain marine brown and red algae producing large amount of hydrocolloids, water holding substances. Example algae, जो brown algae होती है और carrot green होती है, वो red algae होती है. They are used commercially. Agar, one of the commercial products obtained from Gelidium and Gracilaria, are used to grow microbes and in preparation of ice creams and jellyfish. So एक बहुत important paragraph है कि जेलीफिश के लिए, आइसक्रीम के लिए जो यूज़ होता है. ठीक है. Cholera, a unicellular algae rich in protein used as food supplement even by space traveler. Space traveler क्या यूज़ सकते हैं? Cholera. The algae divided in three main classes: Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae, and Rhodophyceae. Chlorophyceae. The members of Chlorophyceae are commonly called green algae. The plant body may be unicellular, colonial, or filamentous. They are usually green, grass green due to the dominance of pigments chlorophyll A and B. The pigments are localized in definite chloroplast. The chloroplast may be discoid, plate-like, reticulate, cup-shaped, spiral, or ribbon-shaped in different species. Most of the members have one or more storage bodies called pyronoids located in the chloroplast. Pyronoids contain protein besides starch. Some algae may store food in the form of oil droplets. Green algae usually have a rigid cell wall made up of an inner layer of cellulose and outer layer of pectose. Vegetative reproduction usually takes place by fragmentation or by formation of different types of spores. Asexual reproduction is the flagellated zoospores producing zoosporangia. The sexual reproduction shows considerable variation in the type and formation of sex cells, and it may be isogamous, anisogamous and और oogamous, जैसा कि हमने पिछले वीडियो में डिस्कस किया था. Some commonly found green algae are Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Ulothrix, Spirogara and Chara. जो ग्रीन एल्गी कौन कौन सी होती हैं? Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Ulothrix, Spirogara and Chara. Pheophyceae, PHAEO, PHYCEA. The members of Pheophyceae and brown algae. So पहले green, फिर brown, are found primarily in marine habitats. They show great variation in size and form. They range from simple branched filamentous form ectocarpus to profusely branched forms as represented by calves, which may reach a height of 100 meters. They possess chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids, and xanthophylls. They vary in color from olive green to various shades of brown depending upon the amount of xanthophyll pigment fucoxanthin present in them. Food is stored as complex carbohydrate which may be in the form of laminaria or mannitol. The vegetative cells have a cellulosic wall usually covered on the outside by a gelatinous coating of algin. The protoplast contains, in addition to plastid, a centrally located vacuole and nucleus. The plant body is usually attached to the substratum by a holdfast and as a stalk, the stipe, a leaf-like photosynthetic organ, the frond. Vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation. Asexual reproduction in most brown algae is by biflagellate zoospores that are pear-shaped and have two unequal laterally attached flagella. Sexual reproduction may be isogamous, anisogamous, oogamous. Union of gametes may take place in water or within the oogamous species. The gametes are pyriform, pear-shaped, and bear two laterally attached flagella. The common features are forms of ectocarpus, Dicots, laminaria, sargassum and fucus. So brown algae कौन कौन से टाइप है? ectocarpus, Dicots, laminaria, sargassum, fucus. नेक्स्ट इज रोडोफाइसी. इन सभी के ये जो टेबल है दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इन सभी का अगर आपके पास इतना टाइम ना हो तो आप डायरेक्टली ये टेबल पढ़ सकते हैं. जो हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं वो सारी चीज़ें इसमें लिखी है. रोडोफाइसी. द मेंबर्स ऑफ रोडोफाइसी आर कॉल्ड रेड एल्गी. तो क्लोरोफाइसी ग्रीन एल्गी, Pheophyceae brown algae, and Rhodophyceae is red algae because of the predominance of the red pigment are phycoerythrin in their body. So कौन सा pigment होता है? R phycoerythrin. Majority of the red algae are marine and with greater concentration found in the warmer areas. They occur in both well-lighted regions close to the surface of water and also as depth of the ocean जिसमें बहुत कम लाइट जाती है. The red thelly of most of the red algae are multicellular. Some of them have complex body organization. The food is stored as Floridian starch, which is very similar to amylopectin and glycogen in structure. तो फ्लोरिडन स्टार्च जो कहते हैं ना, खाते हैं एल्गी को या फिर फूड की तरह, क्योंकि इसमें फ्लोरिडन स्टार्च होता है जो अमाइलोपेक्टिन ग्लाइकोजन के स्ट्रक्चर के इक्वल होता है। ये फ्रेगमेंटेशन के थ्रू रिप्रोड्यूस करती है वेजिटेटिवली। एसेक्सुअली ये रिप्रोड्यूस करती है व्हेन बाय नॉन मोटाइल स्पोर्स एंड सेक्सुअली बाय नॉन मोटाइल गैमेट्स। Sexual reproduction is oogamous and accompanied by complex post fertilization development. The common members इसके कौन कौन से हैं? पॉलीसिफोनिया है, पोरिफायरा है, ग्लाइसीरिया, लेरिया है एंड जेलिडियम है। पॉलीसिफोनिया है, पोरिफायरा है, ग्लाइसिलेरिया है एंड जेलिडियम। Bryophytes, Bryophytes. Bryophytes include the various mosses and liverworts that are found commonly growing in moist shaded areas and hills. ये डायग्राम पर देख सकते हैं, ए और बी। फीमेल थैलस मर्चाइंटिया का दे रखा है, लिवरवॉर्ट है, और एक मेल थैलस भी दे रखा है। ये रहा आर्किगोनोफोर एंड थेरिडियोफोर, गैमा कप, राइजोइड। सो यहाँ पे आर्की होता है इन केस ऑफ फीमेल एंड इन केस ऑफ मेल, एंड थेरिडियोफोर। नेक्स्ट इज फिनेरिया, सी मेन एक्सिस राइजोइड्स, capsule, saprophytes, zeta leaves, D, sagrum, branches, antheridial branches, archigonal branch है, sphagnum gametophyte का है। Bryophytes are also called amphibians in the plant kingdom because ये सॉइल में भी रह सकते हैं और वाटर में भी for sexual reproduction. They usually occur in damp, humid and shaded localities. they एक important role play करते हैं plant succession on bare rocks and soils. The plant body of Bryophyta is more differentiated than of algae. It is thalloid-like and prostrate or erect and attached to substratum by unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. They lack true root, stem or leaves. They may possess root-like, leaf-like or stem-like structure. The main plant body of the bryophyte is haploid. It produces gamete, hence it is called gametophyte. The sex organs bryophytes are multicellular. The male sex organ is called antheridium. They produce biflagellate antherozoids. The female sex organ called archegonium is flask-shaped and produces a single egg. The antherozoids are released into water where they come in contact with archegonium. An antherozoid fuses with the egg to produce a zygote. Zygotes do not undergo seduction division immediately. They produce a multicellular body called a sporophyte. The sporophyte is not free living but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte and derives nourishment from it. Some cells of the sporophyte undergo reduction division meiosis to produce haploid spores. These spores germinate to produce gametophyte. Bryophytes in generally are of little economic importance, but some mosses provide food for herbaceous mammals, birds, and other animals. Species of Sagnum, a moss, provide peat that have long been used as a fuel and as packing material for transshipment of living material because of their capacity to hold water. Mosses, along with lichen, are the first organisms to colonize rocks and hence have great ecological importance. They decompose rocks, making the substrate suitable for the growth of higher plants. Since moss forms dense mat on the soil, they reduce the impact of falling rain and prevent soil erosion. The bryophytes divide into liverworts and mosses. Liverworts 3.2.1. The liverworts grow usually in moist, shady habitats such as banks of streams, marshy ground, damp soil, barks of trees, and deep in the woods. The plant body of a liverwort is thalloid, that is Marchantia. Example: the thallus is dorsiventral, closely pressed to the substrate. The leafy members have tiny leaf-like appendages in two rows on the stem-like structures. Asexual reproduction in liverworts take place by fragmentation of thalli or by formation of specialized structure was gamma, singular gemma. Gemma are green multicellular asexual buds which develop in small receptacles called gamma cups located on the thalli. The gamma become detached from the parent body and germinate to form new individuals. During sexual reproduction, male and female sex organs are produced either on the same or on different thalli. The sporophyte differentiated in a foot, seta, and capsule. After meiosis, spores are produced within the capsule. These spores germinate to form free-living gametophytes. Mosses. The predominant stage of the life cycle of the moss is the gametophyte, which consists of two stages. The first stage is the Protonema stage, which develops directly from a spore. It is creeping, green, branched, and frequently filamentous stage. The second stage is a leafy stage, which develops from the secondary Protonema as a lateral bud. They consist of upright, slender axis bearing spirally arranged leaves. They are attached to the soil through multicellular and branched rhizoids. This stage bears the sex organs. Vegetative reproduction in mosses is by fragmentation and budding in the secondary protonema. In sexual reproduction, the sex organs antheridia and archegonia are produced at the apex of the leafy shoots. After fertilization, the zygote develops into a sporophyte, consisting of foot, seta, and capsule. The sporophyte in mosses is more elaborate than that in liverworts. The capsule contains spores. Spores are formed after meiosis. The mosses have an elaborate mechanism of spore dispersal. Common examples of mosses are Phaneria, Polytrichum and Sphagnum. So यहाँ पे हमने liverworts और mosses के बारे में पढ़ा है. Nesis 3.3 Pteridophytes. Okay, what are liverwort and mosses? These are Bryophytes के divisions हैं. Pteridophytes. Pteridophyte includes horsetails and ferns. Pteridophytes are used for medical purposes as in soil binders. They are also frequently grown as ornamentals. Evolutionary, they are the first terrestrial plants to possess vascular tissue, xylem and phloem. यानी सबसे पहले इन्हीं के पास थे. आप इनके बारे में क्लास चैप्टर 6 चैप्टर में और पढ़ेंगे, टिश्यूज चैप्टर में. The pteridophytes are found in cool, damp, shady places, though some may flourish well in sandy soil conditions. You may recall that in bryophytes, the dominant phase in the life cycle is the gametophyting plant body. However, in pteridophytes, इसमें क्या होता है? The main plant body is sporophyte, which is differentiated into root, stem, and leaves. These organs possess well-differentiated vascular tissues. The leaves in pteridophyte are small, microphallus, as in Selaginella, or a large macrophallus, as in ferns. The sporophytes bear sporangia that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophytes. In some cases, sporophytes may form distinct compact structure called stromboli or cones. Selaginella equisetum. The sporangia produce spores by meiosis in spore mother cell. The spores germinate to give rise to inconspicuous small but multicellular free-living, mostly photosynthetic thalloid gametophytes called prothallus. यहाँ पे डायग्राम देख सकते हैं टेरिडोफाइट्स का. ए सेलाजिनेला, बी एक्वेसेटम, सी फन, डी सेल्विनिया. सो दिस इज़ वन. ये आप देखते हैं ऑर्नामेंटल फ्लावर है, ये सेल्विनिया है. ए बी सबसे देख सकते हैं. These gametophytes require cool, damp, shady places for growth. Because of this specific restricted requirement and the need for water for fertilization, the spread of living pteridophyte limited and restricted to narrow geographical region जहाँ छाया होगी, पानी होगा, coolness होगी, यहीं उगते हैं. The gametophytes bear male and female sex organs called antheridia and archegonia respectively. तो मेल कौन सा सेक्स ऑर्गन है? आर्थिडिया. और फीमेल आर्किगोनिया. What is required for transfer of anthrozoids? The male gametes released from the antheridia to the mouth of archegonia. Male gametes travel करता है from the antheridia to the mouth of archegonium. Fusion of a male gamete with the egg present in the archegonium result in the formation of zygote. Zygote thereafter produce a multicellular well-differentiated sporophyte, which is the dominant phase of the pteridophytes. Sporophyte dominant stage होता है pteridophytes का. In majority of the pteridophytes, all the spores are of similar kind. Such plants are called homospores. Genera like Silaginella and Salvinia, जिसकी पिक्चर हमने ऊपर देखी थी, which produce two kinds of spores, macro and micro. देख लेते हैं फिर से. ये फर्स्ट है और ये बी है, सेकेंड है. आर नोन एज हेट्रोस्पोरस. दो काइंड प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं. तो होमोस्पोरस सेम स्पोर्स, हेट्रोस्पोरस डिफरेंट. द मेगास्पोर्स एंड माइक्रोस्पोर्स जर्मिनेट एंड गिव gametophytes and give rise to female and male gametophyte respectively. The female gametophyte in these plants are retained on the parent sporophytes for several periods. The development of the zygote into young embryo take place within the female gametophyte. This event is precursor to the seed habitat, considered an important step in evolution. The pteridophytes are further classified into four classes: Poecilopsida, Poecilotum, Lycopsida, Silaginea, Lycopodium, Spinopsida, Equisetum, and Pteridopsida, Diopteris, Pteris, Adinatum. Gymnosperms. The gymnosperms, gymnos means naked, sperma means seeds. वो plant होते हैं in which the ovules are not enclosed by any ovary wall and remain exposed. जो seeds exposed होते हैं gymnosperms. Both before and after fertilization. The seeds that develop post fertilization are not covered, naked होती हैं. Gymnosperms include medium sized trees, tall trees, shrubs. One of the gymnosperms, the giant redwood tree, Ciconia, is one of the tallest tree species. The roots are generally taproot. Roots in some genera have fungal association in the form of mycorrhiza, pinus, while in some other cycas, small specialized roots called coloroid roots are associated with N2-fixing cyanobacteria. The stems are unbranched, cycas होती हैं, or branch, Pinus sedarus. The leaves may be simple or compound. Cycas में क्या होता है? The pinnate leaves persist for a few years. The leaves in gymnosperms are well adapted to withstand extreme weather, humidity and wind. In conifers, जो needle-like leaves होते हैं ना, और surface area reduce हो जाता है. The thick cuticle and sunken stomata also help reduce water loss. So ये जो है ये वाटर कंजर्वेशन के काफ़ी काम आते हैं अपने ड्राई कंडीशंस में. ये डायग्राम आप देख सकते हैं. जिम्नोस्पर्म्स साइकस, ओके, बी पाइन्स, ऑर्नामेंटल भी होता है ये, गिंको, ओके. सीड्स इसकी ऐसे होती है. The gymnosperms are heterosporous. They produce haploid megaspores. दो तरह के spores produce करते हैं. The two kind of spores are produced within sporangia that are borne on sporophytes, which are arranged spirally along an axis to form lax or compact strobili or cones. The strobili bearing microsporophylus and microspongia are called microsporangiate or male strobili. The microspore develop into a male gametophytic generation. The microspore develop into a male gametophytic generation which is highly reduced and is confined to only a limited number of cells. This reduced gametophyte is called pollen grain. The development of pollen grains takes place within the microspongia. The cones bearing megasporophiles with ovules or megasporangia are called macrosporangiate or female strobili. The male or female cones or strobili may be born on the same tree, Pinus. However, in Cycas, male cones and megasporophiles are born on different trees. The megaspore mother cell is differentiated from one of these cells of the nucleus. The nucleus is protected by envelope and the composite structure is called an ovule. The ovules are born on megasporophiles which may be clustered to form the female cones. The megaspore mother cell divides mitotically to form four megaspores. One of the megaspores enclosed within the megasporangium develops into a multicellular female gametophyte that bears two or more archegonia or female sex organs. The multicellular female gametophyte is also retained within megasporangium. Unlike bryophytes and pteridophytes in Gymnosperms, the male and female gametophytes do not have an independent free-living existence. They remain within the sporangia retained on the sporophytes. The pollen grains are released from the microsporangium. They are carried in air currents and come in contact with the opening of the ovules born on megasporophiles. The pollen tube carrying the male gametes grow towards archegonia in the ovules and discharge their contents near the mouth of the archegonia. Following fertilization, zygote develops into an embryo and the ovules into seeds. These seeds are not covered. Gymnosperm, Cycas, Pinus, Ginkgo. Angiosperms, very important. Unlike the Gymnosperms, where the ovules are naked in the angiosperms of flowering plants, angiosperms को flowering plants कहते हैं. The pollen grains and ovules are developed in specialized structure called flowers. In angiosperms, the seeds are enclosed in fruits. The angiosperms are an exceptionally large group of plants occurring in wide range of habitat. They range in size from the smallest wolfia to tall trees of eucalyptus over 100 meters. They provide us with food, shelter, fuel, medicine, several other commercially important products. They are divided into two classes, the dicotyledons and the monocotyledons. The dicotyledons are characterized by seeds having two cotyledons. जैसे चने हम खाते हैं तो उसके दो cotyledons होते हैं. Reticulate venation in leaves and tetramerous or pentamerous flowers, having 4 or 5 members in each flower hole. The monocotyledons, on the other hand, are characterized by single cotyledon seed, parallel venation in leaves, and trimerous flowers having 3 members in each floral holes. The male sex organ in a flower is the stamen. तो डाइकोटिलेडन्स में क्या होता है? दिस होल पैराग्राफ. डाइकोटिलेडन्स में क्या होता है कि रेटिकुलेट दो कॉटिलेडन्स होता है, ठीक है, और उनका वेनेशन क्या होता है? लीव्स का रेटिकुलेट वेनेशन होता है, जैसे दिस टाइप. सॉरी, ऐसे करके वेनेशन. मोनोकोटिलेडन्स का क्या होता है? एक ही होता है और इनका वेनेशन कैसा होता है? पैरेलल वेनेशन, जो हम देखते हैं लीव्स में, ठीक है. उनका जो मेल पार्ट होता है उन और इसमें फ्लावर्स क्या होते हैं? मोनोकोट में 3 होते हैं एक पे, और इसमें 4 to 5 होता है डाइकोट में. डाइकोट ज़्यादा होगा. Male sex organ in the flower is stamen. Each stamen consists of a slender filament with the anther at the tip. With the anther, the pollen mother cells divide by meiosis to produce microspores which mature into pollen grains. The female sex organ in flower is the pistil. Pistil consists of soul and ovary as its base, a long slender style and stigma. Inside the ovary, ovules are present. Generally, each ovule has a megaspore mother cell that undergoes meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspores. 3 of them degenerate and 1 divide to form the embryo sac. Each embryo sac has a 3 sac egg apparatus, 1 egg cell and 2 synergids, 3 anthropodal cells and 2 polynuclei. Very important. ईच एम्ब्रियो सेक में 3 सेल एग apparatus होता है, 1 egg cell होता है, 2 synergid होता है, 3 anthropodal cell होता है, 2 polar nuclei होता है. द पोलर न्यूक्लिया एंजियोस्पर्म डाइकॉट देख सकते हैं और एक मोनोकॉट ग्रासेस होता है बेसिकली. The polar nuclei eventually fuse to produce a haploid secondary nucleus. Pollen grains, after dispersal from the anthers, are carried by wind or various other agencies to the stigma of a pistil. This system is pollination. The pollen grains germinate on the stigma and the resulting pollen tubes grow through the tissues of stigma and style and reach the ovule. The pollen tubes enter the embryo sac where 2 male gametes are discharged. One of the male gametes fuse with the diploid secondary nucleus to produce a triploid primary endosperm nucleus (PEN). Because of the occurrence of two fusion, syngamy triple fusion, this is event को हम डबल फर्टिलाइजेशन भी कहते हैं. A unique event to angiosperm. ये सब angiosperms में होता है. The zygote, इसमें जो PN होता है वो फ्यूज होता है और एक सिंगैमी होती है, ट्रिपल फ्यूजन होता है. इसके बारे में हम क्लास 12 के फर्स्ट सेकेंड चैप्टर में और डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे. The zygote develops into an embryo with 2 or more cotyledons, and the PN develops into endosperm, which provide nourishment to the developing embryo. The synergis antipodals degenerate after fertilization. During this event, the ovules develop into seeds and the ovaries develop into fruit. The life cycle angiosperm is shown in figure 3.6. ये लाइफ साइकिल शो कर रखा है एंजियोस्पर्म का. पहले एंथर होता है, फिर माइक्रोस्पोरेंजियम और मेगास्पोरेंजियम, दो चीज़ें होती हैं. स्टाइल स्टिग्मा ये आप देख सकते हैं. गैमेटोफाइटिक एंड जनरेशन होता है. माइक्रोस्पोर पोलन ग्रेन यहाँ पे फ्यूज़ हुआ है, फिर एग बना रहा है, फिर एम्ब्रियो, फिर स्पोरोफाइटिक स्टेज में आ गया. तो गैमेटोफाइटिक स्टेज में एन, स्पोरोफाइटिक 2 इन जनरेशन. Gametophytic stage, sporophytic 2 in generation. Plant life cycle and alternation of generation जो sporophytic और gametophytic पढ़ रहे थे उसके बारे में पढ़ेंगे. ठीक है. In plants, both haploid and diploid cells can divide by mitosis. This ability leads to the formation of different plant bodies, haploid and diploid. The haploid plant body produces gametes by mitosis. This plant body represents a gametophyte. Following fertilization, the zygote also divides by mitosis to produce a diploid sporophytic plant body. Haploid spores are produced by this plant body by meiosis, which in turn divide by mitosis to form a haploid plant body. Thus, during the life cycle of any sexually reproducing plant, there is an alternation of generation between gamete producing haploid gametophyte and spores producing diploid sporophyte. However, different plant groups as well as individuals representing them differ in the following patterns. Sporophytic generation represented only by the one-cell zygote. There are no free-living sporophytes. Meiosis in the zygote results in the formation of haploid spores. The haploid spores divide mitotically and form the gametophyte. The dominant photosynthetic phase in such plants is the free-living gametophyte. This kind of life cycle system is haplontic. ठीक है, जो हम देख रहे हैं haplontic. zygote syngamy है, zygote 2n से फिर meiosis हो रहा है, spores, gametophytic stage. However, in first, sporophytic generation represented only by the one-cell zygote. There are thus haplontic. Many algae such as volvox, Sparrowgara, some species Cladomonas represent this pattern. कौन सा haplontic? Second, on the extreme is the type wherein the diploid sporophyte is the dominant photosynthetic interdependent phase of the plant. The gametophytic phase is represented by the single to a few-celled haploid gametophyte. This kind of life cycle system is diplontic. Algae, fucus, sp represent species this pattern. In addition, all seed-sparing plants, Gymnosperms, Angiosperms जो होते हैं वो भी इसी वेरिएशन को इसमें वेरिएशन रहते हैं और इसको फॉलो करते हैं डिप्लॉन्टिक स्टेज को. दिस वी कैन सी इन डायग्राम. Saprophytic, Embryophytic, the diplontic stage. Third, Bryophytes and Pteridophytes interestingly exhibit an intermediate condition haplodiplontic. ये दोनों फॉलो करते हैं ब्रायोफाइट टेरिडोफाइट. मल्टीसेलर होता है और डोमिनेंट फेज में डिफर करता है. A dominant independent photosynthetic thalar or erect phase is represented by a haploid gametophyte and alternate with the short-lived multicellular sporophyte, totally or partially dependent on the gametophyte for its anchorage and nutrition. All bryophytes represent this pattern. The diploid sporophyte represented by dominant independent photosynthetic vascular plant body. It alternates with multicellular saprophytic autotrophic independent but short-lived haploid gametophyte. Such a pattern known as haplodiplontic life cycle. All pteridophytes exhibit this pattern. Interestingly, while most algae genera are haplontic, some of them such as Ectocarpus, Polysyphonia, kelps are haplodiplontic. Fucus and alga is diplontic. So this is a summary which I would like you to all